Hey, how's it going, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Supercar Tribe. We're back at the body shop, so we're back at the place that's actually pulling the frame and getting that back into shape. We'll head on inside and I'll show you what's going on there. And if you haven't subscribed already, do subscribe, like the videos. We're doing a restoration of an Aston Martin Rapide, which doesn't seem old enough to be able to restore, but unfortunately this one has suffered engine damage, it suffered loads of damage. So anyhow, trying to restore the car, so let's take you inside. So there's a bit of noise in the background. Hopefully my voice is coming through okay. It's an active workshop and they're working on lots of different cars. So this is the sorry state of my Aston Martin at the moment. This is a bit of an update video because it's still work in progress. But let's see where we are with various parts of the car. So as you can see, the engine is completely out. It's been taken out, all the engine, the gearbox, drivetrain, differential, rear suspension, all of that is all out of the car. And if you're wondering why we're repairing the back of the car and the engine is out, well, that's a whole different story, and you can read about that, or you can watch that in one of the earlier videos. I'll put a link at the top. So here is the inside of the car, all very dusty. Unfortunately, it's in a bit of a sorry state, but it kind of looks worse than it actually is. I'm here in Riyadh in Saudi Arabia, and it's a very, very dusty environment. So what we will do is, before we do the engine, put the engine back in, all of this, we'll go over all of this with an air blower, get all the dust out, and probably actually wash down as much as possible as well. Outside looks really bad, but then it is covered in a wrap, so I'm not so worried about this, because we'll just peel off the wrap and then hopefully paint underneath will be in a lot better shape. There is a little bit of damage there, which we will take off and repair. The front bumper is all fine, it's all just been removed so that we could remove the engine. The engine was removed from the back. So this is the bulk of the damage on the car. I knew about the rear damage before I bought it, and so I thought, yeah, it doesn't look too bad. We got it to the workshop and the engine was kaput as well, which is really devastating, but decided to push on with the project. Now, I'll show you various aspects of the repair itself. They've put the back door back on because they want to get the alignment done, so they're trying to pull the car from here to some extent. Now let's have a look at this here. So this was a lot worse than it currently is right now. This particular part here was way forward. All of that was crumpled quite badly. They've been able to pull it back quite considerably. So, and when I say considerably, it wasn't really even that major. It was probably a couple of inches, but it needed to come back, and it needs to come back a little bit more. So you can see still here, it's just slightly forward. It's it still needs to come back. I'm pretty sure it needs to come back either straight or more straight than it currently is. There's been a couple of holes that have kind of opened up there. I think it's to do a little bit with the heat that they've applied. It's aluminium, but also it was a little bit the metal was a little bit crunched, so obviously it was difficult to get it back perfect anyway. Where the seat belt is there, that whole area was quite different. I'll try and find an old picture of what it actually looked like beforehand. A lot better now, but you can see that the key thing is that the actual car itself is not deformed, right? So none of this is deformed. It was just really a minor move forward on this side. The other side is actually fine, and that kind of minor move forward, it kind of caused a little bit of deformity here, but to a large extent that's kind of done. The rest of it forward, all of this was actually fine. So really we're just pulling it back into shape. Nothing too major. This here, I mean, we're working on this to pull this back. It's going to lose a little bit of shape, so we're going to have to hammer it back in, and then we'll have to use some Bondo to get that looking all perfect. So unfortunately, that's that's going to be one thing that I'll just be mindful of. So here, this is the top of the fuel cell, and you can see it's a little bit slightly deformed there, and I've noticed over here there's slight over here. It actually is in really good shape otherwise, and that can be straightened very, very easily. The bigger problem you'll see is that the floor is just now this is all fiberglass. The way that this car is structured is you've got the aluminium frame there, and underneath is all aluminium. So there's the actual chassis frame that comes underneath. That's all aluminium. This here is then fiberglass. So all the way around here, this is all fiberglass. All of this section here is all fiberglass, and then cloaked on top of it is an aluminium skin. So the rear quarter panel here is aluminium. So you can just about see it, that line there. This is actually glued together. It's not even welded. It's actually glued together. And in fact, the fiberglass is glued onto the aluminium frame as well. So that actually kind of makes things a little bit easier, I think, at least anyway. Now, one thing you might be able to see here, so you can just about see it there. It's broken away, right? So it hasn't shattered any of the thing, but we've got a donor car which we're going to be using parts from. We will just simply take from the donor car and replace this. So we'll take this off, take it back to the aluminium, and then we will replace that. We will replace all of this floor as well. So we've got all of the fiberglass, which is all in great condition. All of this back paneling, all of this will be changed. Now, the one thing that I'm thinking, and you can leave comments in the section below, is this structure here. So this here is all one piece, comes around, goes around like this, and goes around like that as well. Okay. Now, to take this off from the other car and put it onto this one also means removing it from the roof itself, which you'll get a better view over here. Now, you can see there that the roof goes over that particular frame. Now, I don't really want to do that, right? Touching the roof is another structural part, and I know that there's support beams that go underneath as well. It's a much bigger and different thing. Now, I noticed that Aston Martin, and I'll flash this image up on screen in a second, they do a section of this roof structure here, right? And basically it's from here to there. So structurally, there's no issue if we were to cut this here and replace all of this, as opposed to touching the roof structure, because Aston Martin, they supply the parts where you can replace this section of the actual fiberglass structure itself. So in that case, I'm thinking, well, what might be a better idea is we get all of this pulled back into shape in exactly the right place, and then what we do is, as best as possible, we put the rear quarter panel back into shape. Obviously we'll have some high pots here that needs to be hammered down. This needs to be hammered back. So do all of those things, get all of that back into shape. And then if we were to then, from here, remove the quarter panel itself, that would then give us access to all of this. We could then take all of this fiberglass section out, take all of this out, probably leave this one, and have a join, I guess, on the fiberglass somewhere, maybe over here or something like that. And then, so essentially all of the fiberglass underneath will be replaced, then put the quarter panel back on, and then that way everything's in the right place, and we've replaced the parts. That's kind of what I'm thinking about here. So yeah, so let me know what you think. I mean, it's not ideal, but I am trying to get this project complete, and so that's pretty key for me. One of the things I was going to show you is, you can see here, it's been pinched in forward slightly, so they are pulling it from over here, which is pulling all that section from inside that we were looking at earlier. So you can see it's not crumpled in or crashed in or anything like that, so it's really not too bad. It's had the impact from the back, and it hasn't really disrupted anything else. You know, everything else still kind of looks as it should look. It just needs to come slightly back. That's the reason why I'm pushing on with this. If it was looking any worse than it actually is, then I would probably sort of walk away from this myself. And you can see here the gap in that fiberglass that I was mentioning earlier. So again, you know, I'm pushing it. It's not really even moving, but you know, it's obviously lost a little bit of the fiberglass there. So yeah, so it's created that gap over there. So that's one of the things that I'm looking to do. So what I've asked him to do is, over the next couple of days, pull this back. That would sort out the inside. It'd sort out this section over here, and straighten this out. And we'll go and have a look on the other side to see what that one looks like. Obviously this should look the same, but you can just see, and they've already been pulling it, and it has already come back quite considerably. So let's have a look at the other side and see. See if we can get an idea. Okay, fine. So that's how it looks on this side, and then we've got the other donor car, so we can take a proper look at that side as well, on the donor car. But you can see here sort of what the finish is supposed to look like. This side is all good, and that side is not too dissimilar. So yeah, there's a lot of cables here. Otherwise, I might have a look at the donor car and sort of see what the angles are on the other car, just to make sure. Oh, and also just one thing to mention, because we have the donor car, you'll see here that a lot of these pieces, yeah, so a lot of these pieces, I mean, as they're pulling them, you know, they're sort of looking a little bit damaged and things like that. You know, all this black stuff is actually the glue. There's all this stuff on the inside. It's all glued down. So the stuff that's looking black is actually the glue. It's not the metal. But what I was saying to him was, all of this stuff, once we get it all back in the perfect place, we'll replace all these parts, right? Because we've got all of these in the donor car, and they're undamaged. So we'll just replace all of these sections of parts, and you know, like all of this is all deformed. Rather than trying to hammer it back into shape, we'll just replace it. So it makes life a lot easier, a lot more simple. And you know, although nobody's going to see it, at the end of the day, I will know it's been done properly. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that video, guys. Just a quick update video on progress that's being made and what we're planning on doing with the car, in terms of how we're looking to repair it. I'm trying to show you guys everything, because if you've got an Aston Martin, or you know, you're into sort of repairing vehicles and things like that, it's good to know how these cars are actually put together, because it's completely different to any other car that I've ever seen. Anyhow, do subscribe, like the video, and see you in the next video.